Welcome back to Simright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew this beautiful bubu kaftan with crisscross placket, as you can see. So here I'll be teaching you two methods of achieving this placket. You can see this is half overlapped, and I also teach you how to make the full overlap. So here my bubu kaftan has two side pockets, as you can see, and I'll be teaching you how to achieve this perfectly. So I will encourage you to stay till the end of this tutorial to learn more. Thank you. I'll be using only 3.5 yards of Ankara. What I have here is 6 yards, but I'll just lay it and cut out only 3.5 yards for this project. Then I'll keep the remaining 2.5 yards for another project. Then here I have my raw silk. I'll be using raw silk satin fabric for the collar. Okay, so you can use anything for the collar anyway. So but this is the fabric I want to use. So now I'll go ahead to open up my satin fabric, and I'm going to lay it open completely. The 6 yards, I'll open the 6 yards and fold the 6 yards by 2 equal parts. So Ankara comes at 45 on this length, and this is the selvage line, and this is the selvage line. So what I mean is I'm laying it completely open from the beginning here, which I have the fold, to the end. I'm going to have 3 yards. Okay, I'm going to have I'm using only 3.5 yards. I believe you understand. So when I fold it, you can see I still have some excess 2.5 yards. So this 3.5 yards, when I fold it, I'll use it for the length. So I'll just go ahead and measure the length I want to use. So from that part I folded, I'll check if the length I want to use is complete. So the length I'm working with here is 64. Okay, the person is actually very tall, so this is 60. So from that 60, I'll measure. Of course, I have up to 9 inches. Okay, so the length is okay. So what I will do now is to cut that part out. So I'll quickly cut that part and separate the other parts, since the length is okay to work with. So I just cut out the excess Ankara fabric. So exactly what I'm doing here, that is what you are going to do also. So you can see I've cut it out now. So after cutting it out here, I come back to the folded edge, and I'm going to pick up this folded edge and match it up back to the selvage. So what I'm doing here is to form my center back and center front. So this is my center back and center front, and this is my shoulder line. So I'll arrange it very well, then I'll start imputing my necessary measurements. So once you are done, the first thing you do is to rule your line. I always like to have my border line, from which I'll start taking my vertical measurement. So once I've gotten my border line, I'm going to place my tape on this line to take the measurement of my chest line. So the chest line I'm working with here is 9 inches. Okay, I'm working with 9 inches, but I'll add 9.5. I'll make it 9.5. Can you see? So I will rule my line at that point. So these are the lines we need for this kaftan. The next line we'll be needing now will be the hip line. So the hip line I'm working here is 30. I'll add half, that is 30.5. Then later we'll go over to the full length, which we have cut and added. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead and rule these basic lines. So coming over to this chest line, I'll only rule it because it will serve as a guide for the kaftan sleeve. Okay, so I will rule it at that point, and here I'm going to rule my line for this, that is the hip line. All right, so
We'll now go over to the shoulder line to take our measurement. So from the shoulder line, I'm working with shoulder 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. I'll place it 8.5. Then the sleeve area, we are going to take the sleeve measurement where you want your bubu to be. So here I want my bubu to stop at 12, but I'll just add 1 inch for folding. So I almost have all the bubu length, so I'll just leave it because it's just 1 inch remaining. So I'll use all the length now for the sleeve. Okay, so I'll come over to the neckline. So the neckline we are going to work with here, I'm working with 3.5. So I'll mark that 3.5. That is my, so now I'm working with 3.5 as my neckline. So I'll just mark that 3.5 here. This is my 3.5. Then my neck depth for the back, I'm working with 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead and curve that part. I'll just go ahead and curve it this way, as you can see. All right, so now I'm going to connect what I have here all the way to the bubu drop. So at the sleeve area, I'll just drop my bubu by 1 inch. So once I drop it, I'll use my ruler this way, point it from that point to form the shoulder drop up to that 1.5. So after that is done, I'll create the front neckline for this bubu as well. So the front neckline I'm working with for this bubu is depending on how it is on the thumbnail right there. You can see that the neckline came all the way to the bust line. So now for the front neckline, I will be making use of 11. So this is the line of 11 inches. Okay, so the color I'm using is 3 inches. So I'll divide 3 by 2 and I'll have 1.5. So I'll place that 1.5 here, and I'm going to do what? Mark. So that is what we need, 1.5. So I'll mark that 1.5. So at that 11 inches, I'll extend the line and connect it back to that 3.5, which is our neckline. Okay, so when I'm going to cut now, first cut the back, and then I will cut only the front, then measure it so we'll be able to sew our neckline. So now coming over to this part, I'm going to measure from this shoulder drop for my bubu curve. So my bubu curve from here, my bubu always open so much. So since it opens like that, I will use 12 inches for it. Then I'll come over to the waistline. On the waistline, I'm going to place my waist measurement divided by 4, which is 11.5. Then I'm going to add 3 inches to it, and then I'll add 1 inch for seam allowance. So now I'm going to connect from that point. I'll just go ahead and connect a straight line. So it's actually easy to make. So that straight line, this is where it falls, and I'll meet it up with what I have here. So once I've done that, I'll come over and connect my bubu curve. So from here, I'll use this part to connect the bubu curve, which we know. So what we have here, this measurement, the total measurement of what we had from here to here, 16. So I'll take that 16 inches to the hem of the dress and mark, so we'll be able to get a straight line. So that's 16. I'll mark it so it falls on this line. So this line, this straight line, is a guide for us. and cut the neckline. So I'm cutting the back neckline, everything I'm cutting it, as you can see. And here, although I've added half an inch seam allowance, but I just thought of adding another seam allowance, okay, because of my, okay. So that is it. So after that is done, we are going to take away what we have inside to serve as the back. So what I'm going to do, because this BUBU is going to have a pocket, so from here I'll measure my waist circumference. So the waist I'm working, sorry, my waist length, the waist I'm working with is 19. I'll step down by 1 2. So whatever your waist is from the shoulder, step down by 2 inches. So this is my waistline from shoulder. I'll come down by 1 2. This will be the position of my pocket, and my pocket length is going to be at 7 inches. Okay, so this is my pocket length at 7 inches. So now I'll just make notches for that pocket. I'll place it this way and make notches. So by the time we start to attach a pocket to this BUBU, we'll know the point at which we are going to do that. So after that, I'll take off the inner part. So the inner part will be taken off, so we'll be able to cut out the front dress. So the front dress, as you can see here, I will just go ahead and arrange it back. So now I'm done arranging. So once I'm done arranging now, I'll go ahead and cut the 1 1/2. Okay, so make sure it's 1 1/2. So I'm cross checking to be sure that line is at 1 1/2. So once I've cross checked and the neckline matches, I'll go ahead and follow that line. So once I get to that 11 inches, I'll do what? I'll cut out. Can you see? So by the time we open that part now, we'll be having 3 inches. So I'll just go ahead and make a little snip. Can you see how I'm making that snip? I make 0.5 inch snip. You can use ruler to rule it, but I'm gauging it well. Can you see? This is to help us attach that collar at the end of the day, and to also sew 0.5. So I'm going to open up the collar. So once you open up the collar, like I rightly said, the width of your collar will automatically fall at that 3 inches, which is what we are cutting now. Can you see? Everything is 3 inches, and it's going to overlap each other. Okay, so it's going to overlap each other. So now the next thing I want to do now is I will cut my collar at 3 1/2. So it means it's going to be unfold at 3 1/2 inches. So I'm going to hairstyle it. So meanwhile, I will be taking the measurement of what I have from here to here. Okay, so let me first stitch the back and front. That is the first thing to do, so we'll be able to get the actual measurement. So I'll just come with that is the front. This is the front. So I'll turn the right side of the front. So what I have here is the right side of the front. So I'll place the right side of the back to it this way. Then I will stitch close and stitch close. Let me do it. So I'm going to reconstruct this neckline and retake the measurement, so we'll be able to cut out the collar. So if you're making use of a smaller width of collar, then you can consider having that at 11 inches. Maybe if you are using 2 inches collar or 2 1/2. But since our collar is good, definitely it's going to affect the whole dress. So I'll put it together again and I'm going to measure from shoulder. Actually saying is that here was 11 inches. I'll just add 2 more inches to it. Once I add 2 more inches to it, this is what I'll have, and I'll go in by the same 1.5. So I'm practically making a little extension. So instead of using 11 inches at that point, I will connect that from this point to this point. So I'm going to extend it a little more, okay, below. So the reason for this extension is because you are making use of a bolder band. So I'll just go in this way, as you can see, and then I'll connect it back like this. So please use 13 inches. Then at this point of 1.5, I'll also make that snip which I did before. Then we can open it up now and take our measurement. So we are taking the full measurement like I did before. Just follow what I did before. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll take the measurements from here all around. So this is my collar. So my collar length right now, I measured 34.5 on the collar. Then I added extra 2.5 inches. So here I have 37. You can even add 4 inches extra, so you don't have any short. At the end of the day, we'll still cut it. So now the next thing I want to do, the width of this collar is at 3.5. Can you see that? By the time I sew 1/2 inch, I'll be left with that 3 inches which we measured. So the next thing I will do is to open up this collar this way. If you look at the thumbnail, there are some designs of thread. So I'll just go ahead and use my tape to mark 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. I'll just mark 1/2 inch. I'm using white thread to sew it. You can also use your tape. As you are sewing, you will be, checking the half inch measurement. You can even do 1/4 inch. It depends on how close or how wide you want that strip to be. So I'm going to do it on this side from the beginning to the end. Then we'll go ahead and sew the collar. I've made the lines, okay, so you just make the lines as you desire. So the next thing I'll do is to put the length together and find the midpoint. So this midpoint, I'll make a notch to it because that is where we are going to sew at the center back. So I'll bring the dress at the center back of the dress. You can see the seam lines. I'll put the seam lines together too, so I'll be able to get the center back. So here is my center back. I'll place my notch. So I'll go over now to sew. So in sewing this, ensure that you have this. We are going to sew it this way. So at the end of the day, this part will be at this point. So since that is the case, it means this side will lay right side to the right side, right side to right side. So I'll go from center to the end and from another center to the end right now. So that's how I'll sew it. Okay, I joined it from end to end. So like I said, you need to add enough seam allowance. You need to add enough allowance so that this collar extends up to this point. So for me, I added 2.5, but please make it 4 or even 4.5 inches so that this part will be able to go in, okay, very appropriately. But I will just manage what I have here. It's very small anyway, but if it's bigger, it's better. So but I'll just manage what I have right here. So you can go ahead and do what, top stitch around the neckline before you do what I want to do. So but before I tuck this in, I'll just run a little top stitch to hold down the neckline. You can even give it a good press, it's okay. So here, once you have put it in, so by right we took 3 inches, but because of expansion of fabric, I noticed that the 3 inches we took, 1.5, 1.5 when on fold has really expanded. So you can see it has expanded up to 4 inches. Some fabric can expand, and once they expand like this, they give you that excess. So when working with Ankara fabric like this, if you are using 3 inches band. I will encourage you to make so the aim is for us to have it at 3 inches. It needs to overlap as it is right there on the thumbnail. This is the original plan, but you can see we have expansion of fabric right here. This expansion of fabric affected the plan. Okay, so there's no problem about it. It's still okay. So all you need to do is, if you are using 3 inches, just use 1.25 instead of 1.5, so that at the end of the day, this excess we have here, about 3/4 of an inch, can be taken care of. So you can do 1 inch or 1.5. So when unfold on the fabric cutting, you have 2 inches, and at the end of the day, when it expands at that 3 inches of your collar width. All right, so now you have to push in everything this way. Like I said, you actually need it to extend more than this, but I just manage what I have here. So once you have done that, next is to do what? Fold in the 0.5. Can you see? You just fold in the 0.5. So once I folded in that 0.5, which we gave mark here and here for, I'll raise my fabric up this way. And you see that? You can see I have the 0.5. So I'll pick everything, my collar, everything. I'll go ahead and do what? And sew at 0.5. So I'll go to my machine now. The way I pick everything, I'll do what? Sew. So if you make it longer, you have it even come out here. At the end of the day, after sewing 0.5, you just do what? Cut it off. So but my own is just exactly as a joro, that is 0.5, and this is actually very risky. So I'll go ahead and stitch now, and I'll be back to show you what I have. You can see how I pinned it, and I went ahead and stitch. Okay, so once you give those notches we made initially when we were cutting, it lays every part for you. So you can see here, I followed that notch part and stitched exactly at 0.5. I secured it with my pin before I did that. So I just want to show you how I stitched it. So it's very simple. So now if I lay, you can see what I have. Everything relaxes nice and flat. So I'll just go ahead, like I said, and top stitch. I'll top stitch this way. This is the time to top stitch actually. I'll top stitch very close. I'll just go round and return back here. Let me do that. So I'm done top stitching all around. So this is what you have after you have top stitch. So the next thing we want to do is to start off sewing the pocket. So if you notice, you can see we made our notches for the pocket, which is 2 inches below your natural waistline. So this is, so we want to start creating or cutting out the pocket now. So I'll just come in with my fabric this way. I first placed on fold. As you can see, I'm going to place it on another fold. So what I'm trying to achieve now is to achieve the both pockets. Okay, so once you have done that, the next thing you do is to come down from this edge by 1 inch. So I'll come down from this edge by 1 inch and I will mark, and from that point I will come down by 7 inches. I'll mark. Then I'm going to place my hand from this 1 inch this way. You can see how I slanted my hand, just like how the pocket is supposed to be. So I'll just follow and give a little gap and return it back to the pocket. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out what I have here. So you can see how I did that. So you can go ahead and do what? And highlight it. So just add a little more. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and do what? And cut, and that will be the pocket. Can you see that? So I'm going to clean up the edges. So here we have, I will just mark the back side. Mark the back side, that's for one pocket. 2 will be for one pocket. I'll mark the back side. This will be for the left pocket. Okay, so we'll go ahead and attach it. Our notches for the pocket, which is 2 inches below your natural waistline. So this is those notches, and I'm going to bring in my pocket one after the other. So you remember how we cut this pocket. So we cut it in a way that it matches up this way. This part is the upper part, so make sure you note the part you remember when we kept our hand, the part that actually matches. So I'll just go ahead and place this. This matches with this. I'm going to secure it with my pin. This one, this is the right side. I'll insert it here, and I'm going to also stitch from here to here. Can you see? I'll do that now, then I'll do the same for the other side before we close the sides. I'm done joining the pocket now, so you can see it's laying right side to right side. So I'm going to stitch from here 0.5 like we added. So once I get here, I'll open up these seams on both sides. I'll open it up like this, then I'll stitch round, come back here, open up the seams, open the back and stitch to the end. I'll do that for the both of them and we are done. So now I'm done sewing the sides, and this is what the pocket looks like inside. Okay, so I did that for the both sides, as you can see. So that is how we come to the end of this tutorial, and I believe this class was helpful to you. If you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share to family and friends, drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Thank you once again. See you in the next class. Bye.